So there are times when we might want to repeat the execution of one or more statements. For example, let's say that we have this hello world message right here, and we want to print this message 5 times on the terminal. We could just repeat this line of code 5 times, like this. But this is very inconvenient and does not look good. So that's where we use loops. There are a few different types of loops in Java, and the first one I'm going to teach you about is for loops. So let's see how we can use a for loop here to print out the message hello world 5 times. So we start by typing the for keyword followed by a pair of brackets. And inside these brackets, we need to do 3 things. You will separate each of these 3 things in the brackets with a semicolon. So the first thing that we need to do is declare and initialize a loop counter variable. So we can write int I is equal to 0, and we would end up with a semicolon. This creates an integer variable called I and stores the value 0 in it. We would end the statement with a semicolon and then write the second statement. So the second thing that we need to do is write a condition. As long as this condition that we write is true, the loop will execute whatever code we write inside the loop. So we can write the condition as I is less than or equal to 5, because I want to print the message hello world 5 times. We would end the statement with a semicolon and then write the third statement. The final third statement that we write in the brackets is a statement that will be executed after every time the loop runs. So we can write I is equal to I plus 1. You don't need to put a semicolon after this statement because it is the last statement in these brackets. Now you would open a pair of braces, and inside those braces you would write the statement that you want the loop to execute. In this case, we want the message hello world to be printed out. So we would write system.out.println hello world. Now what is happening in this code? So as you can see, we have a variable I here that is set to the value 0. And the code says that as long as I is less than 5, it will print out this statement hello world. So the first time I is equal to 0, and since 0 is less than 5, the computer prints out hello world. Now after the first execution of this loop, the code goes to this statement. And what this statement does is it adds 1 to the existing value of I, which right now is 0. So then I becomes the value 1. And since 1 is still less than 5, the computer again prints out hello world. And then after that execution of the loop, it goes to this statement again, and it adds 1 to 1, so I would become 2. And since 2 is still less than 5, the computer prints out hello world again. And the computer would keep on printing out hello world until I is no longer less than 5. So when I run the program, you can see that the computer prints out the message hello world 5 times. This is because the loop is executed 5 times. So as you can see, the syntax for a for loop in Java is a little different than the syntax for a for loop in Python. So when you're using a for loop in Java, follow this syntax. Write the keyword for, open parentheses, and inside the parentheses, declare the loop counter variable, which is essentially the variable that indicates the number of times that your loop is going to be executed. Then, followed by a semicolon, write the condition by which you want your loop to run. This means that as long as this condition is true, the body of the loop will keep getting executed. And once this condition becomes false, the body of the loop will no longer be executed and the loop will terminate. Then after a semicolon, you would write the third statement that is executed every time after the loop runs. And then after opening a pair of braces, inside the braces, you would write the statement that you want executed in your loop. So this is how for loops work in Java. In the next video, I'm going to show you a tutorial of how to use for loops to iterate through an array. I've also attached a flowchart that illustrates for loops after this video. You don't have to look at the flowchart, but if you feel like you are a more visual person and the flowchart will help you understand the concept better, then feel free to look at it.